now I'm holding up a book which I really like and recommend to all of you, called Gender Queer by Maya Koke. Thank you.
After Valerie, we have Brian. Welcome, Valerie.
I believe I have 3 cards. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is AR 131212, the complaints of library materials. There's no checks and balances in this policy. No language that requires complaints. Anyone can claim received sexually explicit materials and have the book immediately go to the school board for public hearing, regardless of the actual content. No input from librarians, no subject matter experts, just immediate authoritarian oversight by the board. I don't know why you all think that you are more qualified than our librarians or our educators to decide what books are appropriate for our students' education. Your uninformed opinions are just that, opinions, not facts, and not all opinions are equal. My next comment is on the concept of goals. This is once again a further authoritarian oversight. More weird and unnecessary language about sexually explicit content and age appropriateness, which is arbitrary and subjective. Again, I'm not sure why you think you're more qualified to define age appropriateness more so than educators. You are so arrogant. Y'all aren't even subject matter experts in your own fields. A social worker that doesn't support gender affirming care or cultural humility or diversity despite her profession's own code of ethics and every mental health organization. A nurse who doesn't believe in vaccines or racism as a public health crisis. Be so for real.
Tell them.
And then Michelle, I don't even know what your expertise is, perhaps the PTA, but you don't listen to them on that either. So I don't know why you think you're qualified.
Yes!
5 ceremonies and observances. Effectively, this bans the pride flag in classrooms and school campuses outside student club activities and advertising. And you know what? Fine. Take away the pride flag. We fought this hard because you are making our school climates more hostile, and that cannot go unchallenged. But you know what? We will just replace it with rainbows or safety pins or lanyards or 1,000 other things. You can't legislate away support for our LGBTQ students, staff, and community. Like pulling up dandelions, more symbols will sprout in their place. I anticipate everyone is welcome here. You're safe with me, and y'all means all posters in rainbow fonts becoming all the rage in Redlands classrooms. I look forward to you running around like fools trying to eliminate these symbols while denying being homophobic and transphobic. You're all jokes. Enjoy the circus.
Yes! Tell them, honey. Woo!
At the same time, I would like to confirm that I have 11 cards.
Oh, he's gonna go in.
Nope. I had 13 originally. Okay, then I would also, before starting my time, I would also like to ask the board to convert my 2 pulled agenda cards on items 14L and 14M to agenda item 7 and agenda item 15O respectively.
I'm live streaming it on YouTube as well, so you can also find it there.
Okay, as long as the board okay with that? Great, first, agenda item 12J, approve the extension of bid number 19 to 23 for paper and miscellaneous supplies to the lowest responsible bidder, P&R Paper Supply Company, effective July 1st, 2023 for a 1-year term. This bid may be extended annually for up to 5 years. Okay, hello everyone, my name is Ryan Coombs. I'm a resident of Area 1. I'm currently an incoming junior at Redlands High School. I'm one of the top students of my year, having an unweighted 4.0 GPA while taking all honors and AP classes. and I ended last semester with every class's grade above 100%. I'm a member of Speech and Debate Team and RHS Jasmine, Wind Ensemble, and Marching Band, and I have excelled in all of those. For those of you wondering, bid number 19-23 would support the procurement of paper and miscellaneous supplies. Interestingly enough, the pricing listed later on in the agenda has no mention of paper, unless you count napkins, paper bag, or foil as paper. Now, I might be wrong, but I am fairly confident that this is not the correct pricing index, especially when considering the company listed is Imperial Dates, not P&R Paper Supply Company. A quick Google search showed me that Imperial Date Supply were to have food packaging and not paper. I would like to request the board to have accurate agendas in the future. Moving on to agenda item 7, public participation. I would like to talk about the regression of the public participation in this district. Last year, we had 3 minutes. Then it was reduced to 90 seconds. Now it's 45. How much, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you guys actually care about what the public has to say? Because I'm leaning pretty close to the 2 to 3 range. If you had the amount of time for public participation got into a quarter, there is something wrong. And don't talk to me about, oh, there's too many people speaking. Well, maybe if you passed policies that people approved of, there wouldn't be everyone in the entire city of Redlands coming to oppose you. I don't know. Do your jobs and you won't have this much clap back. Just a thought.
Clap back, King!
Moving on to agenda item 1210. Amend award bid 4-25 for the Redlands East Valley High School pool replacement project to the lowest responsible bidder. Living Construction Incorporated, raising a total contract amount from $4.25 million to $4.35 million to reflect the inclusion of a $100,000 project allowance to be funded by local construction funds. For those wondering, the bill 4-25 is for the construction of a new pool with accessible path to Redlands East Valley High School. The bid was publicly opened on February 6, 2025 at 10 a.m. Red was first opened in 1997, making the school 28 years old. Now, given that there's no information given within the agenda, but judging from the price given, Redlands East Valley is getting their pool completely replaced, as resurfacing a pool costing the range of tens of thousands of dollars, while replacing an entire pool costs. My question is why? Why are we devoting funds to the pools that already have ample time and not other programs? Moving on to agenda item 12Q. Extend award bid 2-25 for special education transportation services to the lowest responsible/responsive bidders. For those wondering, bid 2-25 provides special education transportation services for students to an as-needed basis. Each awarded vendor offers a limited number of vans and/or buses in specific sizes and configurations. Once I am requesting more information about exactly how much money is spent and where the money is going. I'd also like to know the exact contracts these companies follow, as that would seem to, be of our concern. It is quite important, I would think at least, to provide the public with ample security and ample accountability instead of just providing the plan without a single contract available for the public. Moving on to agenda item 12T, approved payment transmittal numbers 25002760 through 25002950 for June 24, 2025 in the amount of $7.656834.91 million. Authorized, if you look at the fine print, there's a lot of interesting charges included in here. $344,000 for insurance, considering the nationwide average for our school insurance is between $100,000 and $150,000. That's 2 to 3 times the national average. This school board has spent over $200,000 more than any other school board over legal charges, mostly because we are the 3rd worst school district in the nation for sexual assault cases. If you want to talk about problems in our school district, talk about the straight groomers. Okay, 1 second, let me go past the 13 that I already spoke on. Okay, great. Agenda item 14K, approve revision of administrative regulations, complaints concerning library or media center materials. I read the entirety of this policy. It took forever, and would like to talk about how unnecessary and harmful the policy is. First off, I would like to talk about how there is no definition anywhere in this policy over what qualifies as sexual acts, sexual violence, or sexually explicit materials. This policy is intentionally vague in order to have a broad range of books to be banned simply because people disagree with what's inside of them. Here are some highly banned books, just so everyone is aware. 1984 by George Orwell, which discusses government censorship and control of the narrative. Fahrenheit 451, which talks about a literal fire force dedicated to burning books. Born a Crime, which discusses struggles faced by a mixed brown boy growing up under apartheid rule in South Africa. All of these have been the target of sexual content. yet they don't concern us. Moving on. Agenda item 14N, approve revision of board policy 6,000 concepts and goals. I am opposed to this agenda item because it is a blatant attempt to restrict what is taught in schools. As much as I support the restriction of pornography, vulgarity, and erotica, there is no definition anywhere in here to what that means. Furthermore, it restricts obscene material that is libelous. This is also what I have a problem with. Nowhere in here is it described what is counted as libel or lies against another portion or organization. If something people disagree with, a certain part of history, do they now count as obscene libel? Yes, obscene violence is intolerable, but it's also part of our history, and it must be taught. How can we ever recover from the harms done by slavery without acknowledging the rape, systemic repression, systemic violence, and sexualization of African Americans that has run rampant throughout our country's history? How can we ever stop from repeating a second Holocaust without mentioning that? Moving on to agenda item 14O, approval of new board policy 6115, ceremonies, observances, and flag displays. I talked about this policy a few weeks ago, and it seems like the board has not listened. So here we are again, me repeating exactly what I said. So for those of you wondering, the board is currently trying to target Pride flags, Pride Month, and Black History Month under this. Black History Month and Pride Month are still fully necessary for our schools, considering the insane use of derogatory slurs and insults against African American students in our school district, as well as queer and trans youth also in our school district. These months help educate these people on it and help reduce the number of slurs and reduce suicides. Also on the flags, the same thing too. Having a pride flag in classroom does not make your children gay. It helps reduce suicide. Finally, I have agenda item 15O, classify, ratify, / approve, revise salary placements assignments for classified contract personnel. I would like to express my support for this item first off. I would, however, also like to talk about the future of RUSD salaries in the face of culture war policies. We're going to have a $5 million deficit, so where are we going to cut the funds? Not to mention the fact that RUSD can see a 20% fall of its staff quit and move to another district, as both Chino and Temecula have seen similar levels of staff exiting. So we're going to have both a reduction in the number of teachers and in the reduction of funds. So what are we going to do? Cut teacher salaries and have fewer teachers as well? We have problems with the number of students graduating who, as a person on the other side of this conversation talked about, cannot answer citizenship tests. How about instead of taking away teachers, we actually keep the teachers so we can better educate students? Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Brian.
Next up, we have Kimberly. Followed by Marianne Schaffer, followed by Janessa Green.
And then would it be possible to also do the orange card at the same time?
On one card, I have books and coastal.
Yeah, unfortunately, they had one card available at the time that you guys could fix that. And then would it be possible to do the orange card as well?
Sure.
At the moment, we're just focusing on the speakers.
All right, so on flag banning, proposed policy 6115 claims to be patriotic but promotes division, root exclusion, and creates an unwelcoming environment. The prohibition of ceremonies, and observing flags displays target symbols of identity, often used to celebrate our most marginalized students. Please do not do this. This is a censorship that infringes on both freedom of speech and expression. You need to acknowledge that the American flag, while deeply meaningful in many ways, is not a neutral symbol for all. And at one time, it has historically been in tandem with lynching and burning process. True patriotism is not about forcing one flag at the expense of others. It's about standing for the values the flag aims to represent: liberty, justice, and equity for all. The school board must vote against policy in its current form for book banning. And sneaking its policy is also in policy 6,000 concept and morals is heinous. You creating a system within an equitable process. This is not about protecting children from obscenity. The current resolution has vague and undefined language terms that allows for immediate removal, which is banning books, especially for individuals who may not have access. You are allowing one parent's objection to effectively deny access to all students, stripping families of their informed choices. Parental rights should empower families to make informed decisions, not limit access for everyone else's. We must trust and include our credentialed librarians. Critical amendments need to be addressed if pushed. Require professional educators and librarians to review at every stage, include clear definitions, and guarantee equal access and opt-in options. Thank you, Superintendent, and the board for your statement earlier in anti-racist resolutions. However, if this does come back again, you do not get to say you care about students harmed by racism while you sit silently as one of your fellow board members claims systemic racism doesn't exist. That racism isn't a public health crisis. That white supremacy is imaginary or in little pockets, and racism is just in little pockets. And then you allow Herkin to write a resolution on anti-racism. This isn't just hypocrisy, this is harm. And by the way, that is precisely how systemic racism works. When those in power deny the truth, then get to define the solution. So let's be clear. If you try to bring this resolution back, it should be rejected.
I did put in 2 cards. One
If you
is
want the
taken
speech,
from the option
if you
out,
wanna
and I joined the
watch it
VIP
back,
back
I'm
when
streaming everything on YouTube.
time for 2.
What else did you want to speak to?
To the booking. That's what I have here. Okay, the other part was for the opting out, or opting on. Yes, the parent notification.
Would you like to speak to something else?
No, those are the, I will speak to the booking, but I'd like to have the additional time, is that?
No, if you want to add something else, you can, yeah, but if you have something else you want to add.
So you're giving me 55 seconds, is that what you're giving?
45 seconds.
45 seconds. I am Mary Ann Shepard. I'm a child adolescent psychiatrist practicing in Redlands since 2015. I am a prior public school teacher. I am speaking out against the banning of books this century. I see children and adolescents every day dealing with depression, bullying, poor self-esteem, identity issues. Yes, I see the LGBTQ, and I see your children, every single one, and your families, and I work hard to build trust, confidence, and communication with them. Healing only happens in that environment. Our schools are well situated to work with learning and teaching, not to censure, not to add to the burden already of our children here in Redlands. Please vote against this now.
Is Janessa outside?
Janessa,
Mainly? Is there?
Next up, we have Aya F, followed by Rebecca Costa, followed by Brianna Chapman.
My grandma just sent me a photo of me from the thing. I just randomly see little me just casually like pop up in a box. I'm just like, hey.
That's funny.
So I should have 2 agenda item cards. Okay, I see. So hi, I'm Maya. I am a student at Redlands High School. And the flag bans that are to be voted on today are justified in that the representation of certain people, most evidently queer people, which none of you defenders try to mask, detract from the educational experience. It is a careless assumption that holds no scientific basis and backs the U.S. flag in immunity from its historic atrocities. That is, above all, an exercise of cruelty masked in the shell of patriotism. It should be no surprise that the omission of actual free expression and free love, LGBTQ pride, in the school setting is rooted not in actually believing the ideals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but instead serves as the basis for the indoctrination into loyalty, for a totalizing white supremacist project of the United States as it stands today. This is a thinly veiled attempt to do just that. And I also have 1312.2. So I think that books are the voices of knowledge, and without them, information and stories that no one person would be able to gather in just one lifetime would not exist, including perspectives of people from vastly different backgrounds. These texts are not only examined, they are felt. And what this book ban does is simple yet straightforward. It paves the way for indoctrination, reinforcing a status quo antagonistic to the person of color and the queer person, viewing them as the other. After all, in the mind of a conservative, no knowledge should exist that is in contradiction to their worldview. This cannot be viewed anything as other than bigotry, because the underlying assumption is that these people are the other, the alien, dangerous, and corrosive to the moral fabric of society. This is a prospect that is fundamentally antithetical to an actual safe learning space.
My first one is on 15. That one was pulled.
Are the library and media?
1312.2.
Oh, sorry, wrong number.
Okay, my name is Rebecca, and I am from trustee area 1. I have 2 children in the district, and I'm here to talk about library and media. I am new to coming to speak. I've been watching meetings online for some time. I must admit for sometimes that I thought Linda was possibly a party that was moderate. It could be swayed by logical arguments. But unfortunately, I find her, as I watch more and more, to be an influence with also in Wilson. The only other alternative is that she lacks critical thinking skills and is actually falling for the oldest propaganda play in the book, that we have pornography in our libraries. A simple issue of hyperbole for any content disliked by our judge, trial, executioner, Olson. As simple as an LGBTQ character. My other one was on ceremonies.
Who said that?
I'm going to talk about ceremonies and observances. According to our policy as it stands, a school-sponsored event must not endorse certain social or political beliefs, which remains too big and gives too much power to this board. When we live in a time where diversity, equity, and inclusion are considered political, and books about people of color, people with disabilities, and people who are LGBTQ are being pulled from federal libraries, warships named after Harvey Malcolm being named and the Navy, Tuskegee Airmen's accomplishments are being wiped. All of the anti-patriotic initiatives. We have politicized history. How are we to celebrate Black history? How are we to have multicultural
LGBTQ and multiple
history?
flags
It
besides
is
the
now a
American
social issue
and
discussed.
California flag.
Brianna Chapman, followed by Joette Coleman, followed by Justin Cox. Is Brianna Chapman here? You want to go ahead?
Welcome to it.
My name is Joette. I am from District 5. I have attended many times. This is my second time speaking. I'm currently finishing a one-year practicum at Lowland University Behavioral Health. Last
time I was here, I heard a local ER physician say at this podium that he has never seen someone in the ER with symptoms of racism. I was shocked to hear such an ignorant statement coming from someone in such an esteemed profession.
Yes.
I urge the board to refrain from restricting representation, particularly in books, and recognize holidays. This is more than a social issue, it is a public health issue, a mental health issue, a very real medical issue with snowball effects. I would be reluctant to seek advice.
Go off, Queen.
Hi, I'm Jessica from Trustee Area 2 of the 6th Department, of which I'll talk on 2. They were turned in at different times. Alright, so I'll go ahead and get started. So the first I'm going to talk about is the library media. As a parent, community member, and educator myself, I want my children and others to grow up reading books that don't just entertain them, that challenge them, stretch them, help they understand the world, good and bad, what are similar stories and truths to their own. This policy makes it far too easy to pull books based on discriminatory views and goes against the judgment and expertise of librarians and educators in the district. If we start removing books that address race, gender, or trauma because individuals find them to be too much, then we are censoring reality and the opportunity to learn. Our youth are growing up in this world already and deserve to learn about matters they agree or disagree with what they identify or do not identify with. I don't want my children to be limited by an unrealistic, sanitized version of the world. I want them to be brave, compassionate, and informed.
Tell him, sis. Tell him.
Okay, so now speaking on the EP 615 about ceremonies and flags, I'm sending my children to public schools to learn how to live in a world full of different cultures, identities, beliefs, and truths. By restricting flags to only government-sanctioned symbols, you're sending a message that some identities aren't welcome, that only certain stories belong. I want my kids to see that the world is diverse and beautiful, that pride flags, heritage symbols, inclusive messages are in threats with signs of belonging in a place where they should at most feel safe and welcome. We start erasing visibility in the name of neutrality, we teach silence instead of empathy, erasure rather than belonging. I urge you to vote no on both of these measures. Thank you.
Tell him, sis.
John Sorensen, followed by Dominique Swanson, and followed by Catherine Astley. I'll continue.
So, good evening, thank you. I'm John Swanson. I live in District 1. I stand here tonight not to change the minds of others, but to make sure I'm not losing mine. Reactionary among us know they distort facts and play on fear to assert control. We often hear the phrase, all lives matter, in response to assertions that trans, immigrant, and Black Lives Matter, only to see the exceptionless growth before those voicing such ignorance make it to the party level. What we need, though, is a conversation about what matter looks like, and feels like. I assure you it starts with empathy, equity, diversity, and inclusion, while creating space that embraces individual uniqueness, including through welcoming books and allowing flags that represent those who experience marginalization under the flag that's supposed to represent everyone, but is yet to be this promise. This is why I show up not to change them, but to participate in ensuring most of our choice among us that we will not be changed by their ignorance.
Thank you, Tom.
Good evening, my name is Dominique Swanson. I'm in Trustee Area 1, and I'm a proud parent of 2 RUSD graduates who attended Redlands Unified Schools from K through 12. In all those 15 years, I donated, I volunteered, and I poured my heart into positively impacting the learning environment for all of our students. I would like to speak out against Board Policy 6115. While the policy states its purpose is to maintain a safe and welcoming environment for all and to not endorse a particular social or religious belief, it is clear that the policies being proposed on tonight's agenda do exactly that. They reflect a broad and concerted effort to impose a religion-based worldview of a specific group on the rest of us. This is inappropriate for our public schools. It takes me back to to the mind when I hear comments like Black Lives Matter make white students uncomfortable. It takes me back to the anti-integrationists who said their white students would be uncomfortable.
What's the YouTube channel called? JJ.
I have 5, correct, thank you.
And
First up, starting with
A&D.
2 business service consent items. The first one is
Games.
12N. So 12N and 12M
just Luca.
go together. They're both
Luca
on the
Games.
same bid for the pool at
1, 2,
Rec.
3.
Item M states that the timeline extension of the contractor's project schedule will come at no additional cost to the district, and the attached documentation of change order number 1 does not list an increase. However, the change order does include a note that the notice to proceed was delayed by the district. This item N, is a $100,000 increase to the same contract, and the only explanation for it is that it is for project allowance. Was a project allowance not in the original contract amount? Is this project allowance in response to increasing costs that are anticipated by the delay of this project? Moving on to 12T. President Rendler and Member Olson, according to transmittal number 250027667-0, you both submitted for conference reimbursement. Member Ayala Quintero, according to transmittal number 2502827-0, you may have attended CSBA's Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy trip. I look forward to hearing about these conferences and that trip, what you learned, and how you're going to put that knowledge into action. I hope that you will be sharing it during your upcoming board reports later tonight. 14K. Once again, I am asking this board to demonstrate their own literacy skills by drafting administrative regulations that are comprehensive and thorough. AR 1312.2 is neither of those. First and foremost, for everyone, there needs to be clearly written definitions of pornography, erotica, graphic depictions of sexual acts, sexual violence, inappropriate vulgarity or profanity, obscene material, or sexually explicit materials. Without clear definitions, any material can be perceived as any of these. I have so many more notes on this poorly written regulation, but I'll end with this. Please read the first and last paragraphs of Board Policy 1312.2.